With the recent release of Bad Guys 2, we have our newest entry into the world of the bad guys, but more importantly, our newest entry into the world of Dreamworks and the Dreamworks Theory. How does the Bad Guys 2 fit into the Dreamworks Theory? Welcome to Big Flick Energy, and let's get right into it. And before we get started, a quick recap on the Dreamworks Theory. It basically states that every Dreamworks movie is part of the same universe, similar to what we had with the Pixar theory a while ago that it became famous, but I decided to create this Dreamworks Theory that ties everything in together. It tells the story of the Croods discovering a new land filled with magic and intelligent creatures created by the Man on the Moon, who is this world's version of God and has an ongoing presence throughout history. The humans and Croods evolve dependent on their environment into trolls and ogres and other species, but those that evolve as humans seek power above all magical creatures like Lord Farquaad and troll hunters King Arthur. So magical creatures like dragons are killed off or go into hiding like the trolls, while others like talking animals hide in plain sight like Puss in Boots. Over time, these talking animals progressively re-enter society by proving their superiority, whether it be as a super genius in Mr. Peabody and Sherman, or basically killing Earth by having a strike like what happened in the Bee Movie, until eventually humans build a society in the skies away from animals as seen in The Wild Robot, and eventually after that society dwindles, animals build their own society from tradition in Kung Fu Panda, after a war we have yet to see in film. So, now having that knowledge, where does the Bad Guys 2 fit into the fold? Well, the short answer is it takes place around the same time as the first The Bad Guys film. But this film does have some additional evidence as to what's going on in this timeline, so I would stick around for that. And The Bad Guys takes place as one of, if not the last, modernish day projects in this world where animals and humans are living in society together. Animals have become mayors and billionaires, but there are those in society that can only see them as animals. A part of that being because at this time, not all animals are intelligent. There's still a long way to go before the world of Kung Fu Panda, where pretty much all animals are intelligent and anthropomorphic. And we continue to see this in a very clear way in The Bad Guys 2. Obviously it's seen just because of the story they tell with these characters, but it's also very clearly seen in the opening scene of the movie taking place around 5 years before the events of the film, showing one of the bad guys' heists in the past. In this heist, the person they're robbing calls Wolf a monster to his face, in a way that's obviously meant to be demeaning, like he's less than a person. And because of that, Wolf shows how much he can be like a monster by bringing out his claws and fangs to bring fear into the heart of the person he's robbing. But as a joke, since he didn't actually do anything to them. This scene plays heavily into the theme of the times, with some people seeing not just these talking animals as less, but as literal monsters, the same way they were perceived around the time of Shrek, alluding to an eventual war that is bound to come. And Wolf's response is just to show he has that animal instinct that people fear. But an important part of this is not just what happened, but where it happened. In Cairo, Egypt. And this isn't the part that's important either. There's really no connection to any project through this lens, other than this being the first time we see modern-day Egypt in the Dreamworks Theory, whereas we had projects like the Prince of Egypt and Mr. Peabody and Sherman show it in the past. No, instead, it's the fact that it showed the name of the place at the bottom of the screen at all, which they later did for Los Angeles, which is what's really important here. Because with Los Angeles existing in the world of the bad guys, we can assume San Francisco exists as well, and San Francisco is one place we know does not survive in the time of the Wild Robot. We know this because of a blink and you'll miss it scene where the geese are flying and it looks like there's a bridge underwater, more specifically a red bridge that is evidently the Golden Gate Bridge. This helps, no pun intended, bridge the gap between the bad guys and the Wild Robot, where it makes it obvious the Wild Robot takes place after the bad guys, but it also makes it clear it takes place a long time after the bad guys. For a clear point of reference, considering the bad guys' world looks pretty similar to ours, we can assume San Francisco during the time of the bad guys looks the same as it does today as well, since LA looks pretty much the same. Given this, and with the knowledge that the Golden Gate Bridge deck is around 220 feet above sea level today, and the current global average rate of sea level rising is about 0.13 inches per year, assuming this is the same as our world, it would take forever to get to the event of the Wild Robot. And we know that there are situations in the world of the bad guys where people are caring about climate change and global warming, because there is a scene where somebody says that Wolf in his new or old car is causing a massive carbon footprint to the world. So people care about it, people are going to continue caring about it, and we see what eventually happens with that in the Wild Robot. If that's the case, and it's 0.13 inches per year linearly, it will take around 20,000 years before the Golden Gate Bridge is underwater, which is insane. But that's if it's a constant sea level increase. If it's an exponential sea level increase though, in let's say pockets of around 30 years, it will take around 300 years to get to the point we saw it in the Wild Robot, which is a much more reasonable amount of years to get to where we need to be. So now we can start putting a real timeline on when things will start to shake, and I think it also lets us put Shark Tale around the same time as the Wild Robot, given all the tech they have that must be scraps from long distance exports like what we saw in the Wild Robot. Apart from this, we have a new family tree to explore, and obviously we can partially speak on Mr. Wolf being related to generations past of the big bad wolf from Shrek. Apart from that though, the new antagonist in this film has a very familiar name, this being Kitty, the same name of the thief/lover of Puss in Boots, Kitty Softpaws. Now they're evidently not blood related, given bad guy's Kitty is a snow leopard, and Kitty Softpaws is just a standard house cat. But given this theory, which claims these animals have been planning something larger for generations, they probably have their own database on history's greatest talking animals, which would 100% include the likes of Puss in Boots and Kitty. And I wouldn't be surprised if bad guy's Kitty names herself after Kitty Softpaws after seeing the heist she was able to pull off or read about in the past, which gives a lot of context on why she's so obsessed with doing these heists even if her partners aren't willing, because Kitty Softpaws was notorious for doing these alone. Until she met Puss, of course. And lastly, the way this movie ended made me extremely excited for The Bad Guys 3. Having the team be hired as spies by the government is a very fun twist on their stories that makes sense for them. And it would be a lot of fun to see them cross paths with some version of the North Wind from the Penguins of Madagascar, since it's a team of global animal spies in secret. Will we ever get that? Probably not. But hey, it's just a theory. A Dreamworks theory. And don't copyright strike this video for copying MatPat. Thank you. But yeah, that's how The Bad Guys 2 fits in. For this timeline, it takes place after the first Bad Guys movie and the short film The Bad Guys Little Lies and Alibis, and it takes place around 300 years before the Wild Robot. And what's next from Dreamworks? Well, there's a Gabby's Dollhouse movie, which I think is partially live action, which if that's the case, isn't part of this world. Then there's Forgotten Island in about a year that I don't know anything about right now. And after that, the long-awaited Shrek 5 in December of next year, that I pray doesn't look like that teaser trailer. But apart from this, speaking on that war for Dreamworks of the animals against the humans, I'm starting to think that there actually may not have been a war. I'm still leaning to that there is a war, so I'm still keeping the war in this theory. But let's just assume that the humans decided to go up above the skies, while the animals just stayed at the ground level, and they just started building their own society like that. It's possible that it's more similar to what happened with the Jetsons and the Flintstones, where apparently those two projects actually take place at the same time. It's literally just the Jetsons happen to live above society, where they're the rich. And it would be a very similar situation here, where the people are the ones that live above society, while the animals were left for scraps on the ground level. And then potentially eventually, the humans did die off, and the animals just continued their legacy like that. Maybe it was more of a direct the man on the moon that actually took out the humans and let the animals thrive. But we don't know enough yet. The Dreamworks theory is ongoing, it's never stopping. We have more answers today than we did yesterday, but that doesn't mean it's over. And with that, that's how The Bad Guys 2 fits into the Dreamworks theory. So thank you for watching this video. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed The Bad Guys 2, if you think Kitty's name was inspired by Kitty from Puss in Boots, if you think the Wild Robot takes place 300 years after the bad guys, if you think a war is coming down the line to result in the world of Kung Fu Panda, or if you think it's more similar to Jetsons and Flintstones where it just happened through natural events. Thanks again for watching, and see you all next time on Big Flick Energy.